What is up, everybody, and welcome to Best Ball Live, brought to you by DraftKings. I'm your host, Connor Allen from 4for4, and joining me today is a friend who not only wrote an entire book on a revolutionary fantasy football draft strategy, but is now also becoming a best ball bro, JJ Zachariason. JJ, how are you doing? How's the offseason treated you? And are you deep in the best ball streets right now?
I'm deep, man. I'm deep. I think with the DraftKings Millie, I think I'm like 90 drafts deep at this point. Just with that contest, been doing some other contests in there too. I've gotten to the point though where I just try to do all mine live. I don't know about you. I just feel better doing them live versus slow, just to like have a good grasp on what's going on in every draft, as opposed to like feeling, like having to catch yourself back up every time a draft opens and stuff. But yeah, man, it's been great. I love this time of year. I think that this is a time where you can really separate yourself as an analyst and as a player, and it's been great.
Totally agree. We're kind of in an interesting zone right now because we're like, obviously training camp is starting like today, yesterday-ish. And so we're about to get a massive influx of news that will shift ADP. But
Yeah.
I'm going to load up a draft here, enter it. And as a reminder, we're playing DraftKings Best Ball, $15 million total prizes, $2 million in first place. JJ and I will be splitting the winnings if we win the entire contest, when we win the entire contest.
Okay.
And then some key differences between DraftKings and other sites: full PPR, 3 wide receivers and a flex, 20 rounds, not 18. And it is best ball. So again, we don't have to touch it. No roster management or anything there. So JJ's deep in the streets. So you said you do mostly live. I totally agree with you. I think slow drafts just like kind of throws me off my game a little bit, but I don't know. Like it's really hard to max enter this thing just doing fast drafts. Like you have to do like 2-3 a day, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point now. So what? I have like 60 left that I got to do, and we only have like 40 days, and it's not like I'm doing nothing on those days. So like, yeah, there's gonna be some days where I like yesterday I think I did 5. So there's just like it's just like kind of there in the background while I'm doing work and stuff. So like on days where I don't have as many shows and all that kind of stuff, I just try to do a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, like for this contest and for the Millie, I am trying to do them all live. And then I think as we get into August and stuff, I'll probably just join a bunch of slows just to get more action. But that's it's just, I realized that last year when I really started to become a best ball bro and doing the podcast and stuff, and I started max entering more and playing a lot more. I just realized that like my head is just so in it in those instances where I'm making more optimal picks. And I want to be able to make sure that I'm doing that throughout all my drafts.
No, I totally get that. I've really enjoyed doing the whole, like, I'll go to just like walk on the treadmill and just like do a fast draft and just like, because it's like a perfect time period. It's like 40-ish minutes.
Exactly.
And then these streams have been great. I've only been doing 1 a week of these. I might need to up it just so it like forces me to do even more live drafts here. All right, so our draft loaded. We have pick 6. I love this spot, actually. I think this is kind of like a little mini teardrop. I'm fine with any of these 6 guys, but I'd love to hear if you have any, I don't know, takes or thoughts or prioritizations here in the top 6 guys.
Honestly, no. I'll say that I probably just lean wide receiver more. So like I've been getting, like I got a decent amount of CD just because I think that he belongs in that tier, and like I don't see the separation that others do between like Lamb and Justin Jefferson. I just have them in the same tier. I think they're pretty interchangeable, and so I just kind of I ended up getting a decent amount of Lamb. But I don't think that you can really go wrong with any of the top 6. And honestly, like I've gotten 7 over the last couple of days, and like I'm pretty high on Puka, so I don't even feel that horrible about Puka, because I do think that his range of outcomes still places him as potentially being the wide receiver 1 in fantasy if things break his way. So like I don't even think that it's that horrific, but I do think that there is still that teardrop, and you just feel great about the top 6.
Yeah, totally. I had my pros versus Joe's draft last night, and I started with CD from the 6th spot. I actually picked him over Justin Jefferson on that spot. I mean, for this, kind of like for max entering some things, I'm probably not going to do that. For like kind of a one and done thing, I'm going to just pick my guys and go from there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of the way that I approach it generally. And also, before we get going, for any of you guys who are not on DraftKings, they have an awesome offer: draft one, get one. Enter a lineup into this contest we're playing right now, the $15 million best ball contest, for just $20, and you'll score another best ball ticket to play for free for a share of $15 million, giving you a second shot to win big. So, all right, 15 seconds left here until the draft starts. So far, have you preferred drafting from like the front, back, middle? Totally fine either way. Like, I guess what's been your favorite draft so far?
I think that it's actually like things are actually kind of evened out
Okay.
with regard to like the spots, only because if you're in the back half, like to me, there's like a round and a half of like just like first round picks, right? Like
Yep.
historically, a guy like Devon Achane or some of the, obviously the wide receivers that go in round 2, like they're usually like end of first round type selections. And so, being in the back half, you can still get basically 2 first round picks, if you will, from there. But then obviously if you're in the front half, you're getting Jamar Chase, you're getting these studs. I do see a drop off happen though at like the 2-3 turn area. So I think it's pretty evened out. Like typically we, history tells us that we want to be in the front half and we want to be like, first through third. That's just where more successes come from. But I think it might be a little bit different this year.
Yep. No, I think that's very fair. I think it's one of the deepest drafts. Like again, like those 2 wide receivers you can get, like a Nico Amon-Ra or like Brian Thomas. Everything is just an awesome go around there. And then, like you said, Devin Achane would normally be like a late first kind of guy. Ashton Genty, I've got in the middle of the second. Like I'm not even huge on Ashton Genty, but I think it's a good vibe. All right. Do we want to go CD here, I guess, at 106?
Yeah, let's go Lamb.
All right.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because like it's strange because like you look at everything like with Philadelphia, for instance, everything points to them being so much more pass heavy this year than they were last year, right?
Yep.
And then AJ Brown, like on paper is a smash, right? Like more passing volume. He's obviously one of the most efficient wide receivers in the game. Since he's gotten to Philadelphia, he's averaged a yards per game total that gets him to 1,400 plus yards every year if he were to be healthy. And I'm trying to get exposure to him, but it's so hard because there's just so many good players in that range, right? So like on paper, I'm like, yeah, I want, and I'm overweight on AJ Brown, but like there's a good chance, and I've done this plenty of times. I mean, like AJ Brown will likely or has like a 50% chance to be there with our next pick. And that's just crazy when you think about it, just given what he's been able to do in Philadelphia.
So efficient. And I think Rich Rebar came on here earlier and was mentioning that he had like one of the highest yards per game in the first half of games, but they just never threw the ball in the second half. So it just like dropped. Him and CD both actually kind of had that issue in some sense. And I don't know if CD's was necessarily quite as, I don't know, game script driven, but it was just, kind of what happened there. So I think that, yeah, AJ Brown could see a massive bump this year if they have to throw more at all. Like I would say on paper, there isn't anything that makes me think, oh, this Eagles defense is going to be worse or this Eagles team has to throw more. But like inevitably, they're going to have to throw more. Something's going to go wrong. Something's going to break. Like they're going to have to throw more basically.
It's just regression. Like we all try to like come up. It's similar to like the Baker Mayfield stuff right now where it's like, and look, my quarterback takes are much more season long focused than best ball focused because best ball, you're just kind of stacking and you're just saying, okay, I got Mike Evans, so I'm going to draft Baker Mayfield, or I got Amon-Ra St. Brown, so I'm drafting Jared Goff. But like we sit here and we're like, things only got better for this player, but like, that's not how regression always works at the end of the day. It's usually not how regression works. So, Philadelphia, they do have a really tough schedule, bottom 5 schedule in the league when you're looking at team win totals and projected win totals. And so that alone could just say, hey, we're going to be in not as friendly scripts, and that's going to result in more passing. There goes AJ Brown, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Right as we're talking about him. All right, so Bowers just went. AJ Brown just went. We're on the clock right now. Lad McConkey's available. Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving. I would probably go Lad, but I'm open to.
Let's go Lad.
All right. I don't know if you see another mini teardrop there. Jonathan Taylor's kind of been a tough candidate for me. I think he's going to see a lot of work. I struggle with him for some reason. He's obviously a super talented player. The Colts offense is just a tough one for me. Anything Jonathan Taylor takes?
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. I mean, if you look at his splits last year with and without like Flacco and when Anthony Richardson was playing, and now obviously there's the Anthony Richardson like steam, a little bit of steam versus where things were like 2 weeks ago, right? Taylor had like a 5% target share per game rate with Anthony Richardson, which is not a sustainable thing. Cause like the difference between that and Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry's playing in a Lamar Jackson led offense where they're going to score a ton of touchdowns. So it's easier to see the high end, and not to say that I'm even overweight on Henry. It's hard to even be overweight on him just because there's so many good wide receivers in that range too. And I like Devon Achane just straight up more because of the PPR aspect. But like with Jonathan Taylor, it's a Derrick Henry situation in a bad offense or in a projected worse offense, I should say, right? That's the fear. I've drafted him, but I haven't been overweight because, talented players. Like I did a study, I looked into this in my draft guide this year, but with top 18 running backs by ADP, when they have low receiving points per game numbers the previous season, so that's just points per game via pass catching, They almost never outpace their ADP expectation the following year. And the only guy who has over the last decade has been Derrick Henry, and literally every other guy who's been under like here we can make our pick really quick.
No, I mean, we're 2 picks away. Gary Wilson just goes, unfortunately. Devontae Adams, Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, Kyron Williams, if we want to go running back here, we obviously started wide receiver. This is kind of I don't have any strong takes in this zone. I think 4th, 5th round is generally where I have a lot more players that I like. Anyone in here stand out to you?
I've been going pretty hard with Devontae Adams, and since we, I mean, it's a wide receiver heavy build, but I like Adams more than Marvin Harrison Jr. straight up.
I agree.
I do. I'm wondering. I wonder how you feel about this, but like, and I would take Adams, yeah. But with the way quarterback is on DK and the way the kind of QB2s are just rising, just because of people forcing stacks and like freaking out that they're going to not be able to get, more people doing 3 quarterback builds, people freaking out not being able to get that 2nd or 3rd quarterback. Do you think that it does increase the chances or make you feel better about the elite quarterbacks in best ball? Because hypothetically, right, if we're not getting that edge of, we're going to draft these guys in round 14 and round 15, and now they're going to be drafted in round 10 and 11, then obviously that makes the elite quarterbacks a little bit more valuable because there's less of that gap in opportunity cost, right?
That is a really good question. I think that, so if Devontae was gone, I probably would have considered Josh Allen, even though, I think that's probably an interesting spot there for him. Jay Daniels obviously went a little bit earlier. I think Kyron Williams is getting a contract extension. Obviously there's like, some stuff swirling about, maybe using more Jarquez Hunter or Blake Corum, but if they're going to sign him to a contract, I think he's going to see his usage will be awesome no matter what. Right. So I think those would have been my options there. But yeah, to your point, like, it does make elite quarterback, I think, potentially a little more interesting. But it seems like they go higher on DraftKings than on other platforms anyway. So it's like they're not bumped up a ton, but there's like a half round to a round, it seems like, right?
And there's reason that you would not want to necessarily do it, because obviously the other positions are just accumulating more points than quarterback is. And there's going to therefore be a bigger distinction between high-end running backs and wide receivers than baseline guys. But it has gone through my mind because I'm pretty much underweight on, like, I'm at like in like the 6% range with most of them. So I am a little bit underweight, but I don't know. It's been going through my head because there are so many times in these drafts where you get to that range and you're like, oh crap, I don't have a quarterback.
Yep. And now we're back on the clock here. I think Omarion Hampton's pretty interesting at this spot now. And so is DJ Moore, but I think Hampton, given our build, probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, you get him with Ladd and you start the little Charger stack. Yeah, it's a great pick.
Do you think that Najee Harris, like, what's your take on the situation? Because it seems very, very up in the air, but I don't know. I just have no idea what to do.
I mean, I think Hayden Winks tweeted about it today, but he was saying how, like, Harris has been back in the facilities for like 9 days now, and there's not been a single report about his eye. I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but it's just strange, right? Like, I think there's more going on than what they're sort of leading with. And it seems like the majority of the reports where it's stemming from is from like his agent. And why should we be believing his agent? Like, that's the last person we should be believing. Yeah.
They also said too, like, oh, our doctors haven't even looked at him yet. That was like a couple of days ago, like before camp. And so, and then the thing that came out that was, it's just superficial, it's like he's fine, was from his agent. So there's really been no reports since. Index of suspension ads. Didn't they just sign Hines? They did just sign Nyheim Hines. The contract details for that, we don't really know. But I mean, again, it just adds more to this whole thing. Yeah. And I think part of the thing too with Hampton is like, maybe Najee's fine. Maybe he starts week 1, but like the longer that this goes on and the longer that Hampton's getting reps with the ones, it eats into that time that gap of like maybe 4 to 6 to 8 weeks of like the transition period for Hampton and Najee. Yeah. So like, I think not Hampton in like the mid 4th is like a great high upside pick.
That's what I've been doing. I think he realistically should be more of like a late 3rd kind of player, and he goes mid 4th frequently. So I'm with you. I loved him as a prospect too. My model loved him. He was like, it was Genty in his own tier, and then it was Omarion Hampton in his own tier. Like he was well above where Travion was and Judkins. So I mean, I think the downside, like I've said this on other shows too, But with Amari and Hampton and with the Chargers offense with Greg Roman, Greg Roman's been an offensive coordinator for 10 years, 10 completed seasons in the NFL. His backfields have never ranked in the top 10 in PPR points scored, which is kind of crazy.
Really?
When people make the assumption, oh yeah, they're run heavy, yada yada. It's all because they haven't targeted their running backs through the air. Like they've ranked on average 26.3rd or 26 to 27th in running back target share as a backfield under Greg Roman. So maybe it's personnel driven a little bit, but I do wish that we had a little bit more of a baseline with the target share for a guy like Hampton.
Yeah, that's definitely something to watch for here. And now as we're coming up on the clock again, we're 2 picks away. I love this range for receivers. I think Ted is a fantastic pick. He just went off the board, unfortunately. Then you can make a case for Devonta. George Pickens, given our build here with CD, is interesting. Calvin Ridley and Jalen Waddle are both fun. And then Travis Hunter a little bit later, I think is, again, probably what you want, especially if you started wide receiver heavy. So I don't know. Any thoughts on those guys? Like, I really like almost all of them, to be honest.
I'd probably go Pickens just for the build. I think Devontae Smith is. He just went. Well, then I'll say Devontae Smith because I think Smith is just again, going back to what I said at the top of the show, they're going to throw the ball more this year. Smith last year, if you look at his split, the nice part with these guys is anytime there's a guy that's being drafted at projection, which I think Devontae Smith is right now, that's basically around where he's projected, right? But he has multiple outs. Like last year when Dallas Goedert was out, we saw a 10% target share bump. When AJ Brown was out, we saw a 10% target share bump. So Devontae Smith not only can just meet expectation based on his projection and where he's being drafted, he has multiple outs to be even better. Whereas we can't say that about all of these, but George Pickens has the contingent upside, obviously, if CeeDee Lamb were to get hurt. Yeah. But I love Tet McMillan. I'm drafting Tet McMillan, but he doesn't necessarily have that. His upside is what if he's just really, really good, right?
Yeah.
But Cortland Sutton, for instance, doesn't have the same kind of contingent upside as, a guy like Devontae Smith does, or, Zay Flowers or someone like that. It's just harder to see those outs of true top 12, top 15 type production. Whereas we're getting that with a guy like Devontae Smith.
Yeah, and I think to some extent that kind of contingent upside exists for Jalen Waddle as well. We already saw Jonnu Smith exit, and his ADP didn't really change. He's been kind of a mid-5th round pick the entire time. Tyreek Hill, his wrist is fine, but fantasy points had some great metrics on his average separation last year on vertical breaking routes. Vertical breaking routes, and it was way down. Obviously, I think his efficiency metrics you can't really count on because obviously the quarterback play factors into that. But there's real downside here for a guy like Tyreek, or the Miami offense is just better and they throw more or just better in general. So I think Waddle has some upside there as well. This is an interesting pick here. There's been a couple interesting picks I think we should talk about. Diggs at the 5-6 turn. Also with Cooper Kupp. These are normally 6-7-ish round guys.
Yeah.
Maybe even that. Maybe this guy is just, Cam Wins is just YOLOing, but I kind of like Diggs this year. Maybe 60 is a little bit rich, but
yeah, I like Diggs too. But there is difficult. Getting him at the 5-6 turn, especially again, that you're playing the ADP game. If you're playing, 10 plus lineups on DraftKings, even that, you can get exposure somehow. You don't have to force it the way that he's forced right there.
Yeah, no, totally agree there. He obviously reported to camp today and was, quote, healthy, not on the PUP list or anything like that. So they said he wasn't 100%, but if he's anywhere near a target earner like he has been for his career, even if he's not, anywhere near prime Steph Diggs, he's probably their best receiver from day one. I have been mixing some Kyle Williams, though. I think that him and Hunter Henry are both values as well, though.
Yeah. I just like the New England. That's one of my favorite, pseudo desperation offenses. If you need a stack late, it's an easy one to buy into, just given Drake May.
Yeah, and we are almost up on the clock. All right, we're on the clock. Juwan Jennings just went. Rome is fine. Laporte is fine. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an uglish spot. I'd probably go either Rome or even Jacoby Myers. I'm not really that into Laporta this year.
Yeah.
Just given his previous season wasn't that strong. I think Adunze might be the play just because we have a pretty solid base at wideout. So, we need that volatility a little bit more than the floor of a Jacoby or something.
Yeah. And I think so for those who are watching here and are just you guys have no running backs, you have no other positions. This is exactly what DraftKings is made for. This is you can start, it's up to 4 wide receivers in a single week. It's full PPR. like you said, we have tons of contingent upside with Devonta Smith and Rome. We have really no idea what Chicago is going to be. They obviously bring in Ben Johnson. They draft Colston Loveland really high. They draft Luther Burden really high. DJ Morris still there. So like, I think that a couple of these guys are going to pop. I've been taking them at least one bear in almost every draft.
Yep.
I just don't know which one.
Agreed. And it might be a situation where it's annoying from like a managed season-long league perspective, right? Like where we just don't know, but in this environment, it's a lot easier to click those names. I feel similarly about Green Bay, where last year we know Green Bay has been not very predictable, but at the same time, like Green Bay is another huge regression candidate to throw the ball more this year. And Jordan Love's pretty cheap, and he could would anyone be shocked if Jordan Love is one of the pocket passers that just has kind of an unsustainable touchdown rate? Like he's a candidate for that, right? There's good weapons. You got a good offensive mind leading that team. You should feel good about them being a decent offense. And so like, it's the same deal where it's just like a cheaper version of Chicago, where those guys are maybe will be a little bit unpredictable, but I think in a best ball environment, that's fine. You know, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Romeo Dobbs is really cheap on DraftKings, just kind of going that direction with them.
I do love that that late stack there of like Jaden Reed, and then you can end up getting like Love, Tucker Kraft as I mentioned here. Like that's just like a perfect little late stack. All right, so we're kind of in an interesting spot here. 5 wide receivers, 1 running back, 4 picks away. There's this little group of running backs here that I think all you can make a case for, and all have like pretty significant downside as well, but I think are somewhat interesting. Like after this is also kind of like a weird range as well. I mean, any thoughts in this?
Yeah, I hate this area of the draft in general.
Yeah,
that's my general stance, is that it's just a rough spot. This is probably the worst part about having a middle pick is there's just not a lot going. Like if you're in the front end, you kind of get some remnants into this round. But once you get here, it's just kind of tough.
Yeah, because like I think Jordan Mason plays a bigger role, but Aaron Jones, if he's healthy, obviously has plenty of juice to score from wherever. I think Isaiah Pacheco, if he's 2024 Isaiah Pacheco or 2025, whatever, last year at the beginning of the season, he's going to crush. Right. If he's what we saw at the end of the year, he's Rashard Smith and Kareem Hunt are going to play 90% of snaps. So
my inclination is to go Pacheco here, and now I'd probably say Pacheco. I mean, if someone would say Aaron Jones there, that's fine. I think they're similarly tiered, but like, you're looking for an upside case. I do think that at the very least, given what they have in Kansas City, Pacheco will probably start out the season as a decent sized bell cow. And that matches well with a guy like Hampton if Najee Harris is, healthy. But regardless, like to me with Pacheco, he is kind of like a traditional dead zone-ish back with his profile, but he's not being, like the dead zone is not really that a thing that much anymore. So like if you get the opportunity cost in getting him when you have a wide receiving room like this is not that significant. Though I do like Khalil Shakir, who went right after him.
Yeah, it's tough because they actually tried after Pacheco broke his leg. They tried to bring him in and have him be the workhorse. He had like 14 carries, 13 carries his first 2 weeks back. Yeah. It was just so bad. Like Kareem Hunt was just better than him, and not by much, but just was way better. Index added Rashard Smith going to be a thing next. Jerick McKinnon. Yeah, I've been mixing in a lot of him late. Like he goes like 18th, 19th round. So
my model like Rashard Smith. The one thing I'll say about Pacheco that sticks with me is Jeff Mueller, who's a PT. He was on Late Round Perspectives last year on my podcast, and it was around the time that people were adding Pacheco off the waiver wire because he was, there were rumors of him coming back and stuff. And Jeff was like, this is a terrible idea. Like, he's not going to be himself. Like, he totally nailed it and called it. And the fact that he was able to project that does make me feel better about the idea that the Pacheco downturn last year was mostly due to injury and him not being 100%.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a ton of sense. And hopefully it is due to injury here because like he's good. He's an exciting player when he's healthy, but it got bad quick. So yeah, hopefully he ends up being all right. Okay. So we are also back to, we're at 2-5. Let's see here. Stacking wise, we don't have a ton in this range.
You could go Pearsall with a Dunze for weeks. There he goes. That was just the week 17 look.
Yeah. Okay. Pollard just went. We could try and build like a late Green Bay stack. I mean, we're super wide receiver heavy.
Yeah,
already.
another idea is to go Bo Nix here because we have Pacheco as a bring back, and then we just get later round because there's enough Denver later round guys. Plus then we don't have to feel bad about as bad about like reaching for quarterback and stuff like that.
Yeah. Pat Bryant. I think he's fun. I saw him play live a couple of times last year in college. Was just like very clearly the best player on the field all the time. Tested fine. Overall production was fine. I'm interested to see what did your numbers say about him, because like he didn't really pop anywhere, but I just think he's kind of a good player.
He was solid. Like he was a profile. Him and Kyle Williams both. I do my profiles pre-draft like in February, and so my initial prospect guide launches like in early March, and so I wrote up Kyle Williams and Pat Bryant. I was like, these guys kind of have like interesting profiles. Like they don't look that bad production wise, yada, yada. And then Kyle Williams was just getting steamed after I'd written that. And I'm like, man, I really wish I would have taken a stand with Kyle Williams. Cause then, I would have been ahead of the curve with the steam, but it didn't really matter. Cause at the end of the day, we're mostly drafting after the draft anyway. And so Kyle Williams obviously gets the bump cause he gets the day 2 capital. I didn't expect Pat Bryant to see day 2 capital the way that he did. And there is a precedent a little bit of these wide receivers who get overdrafted like this based on mock draft data not really panning out. It's pretty rare for them to do really well. But I think in an environment like a best ball environment, season long, what have you, when there's not that much of an investment to make, and he's already getting, praise from Sean Payton as being like a Michael Thomas type, I think it's fine to throw that dart. The other guy that I've drafted a ton of, and I'm almost embarrassed to say it, is Devon Vele.
Okay.
This is a 20th round, doesn't get drafted in every draft kind of pick, but it's a desperate, if you're not able to get Mims, if you're not able to get Bryant, as you're building a Bo Nix stack, Denver stack, Vele's getting a little like local beats like Devon Vele. And if you look at his peripherals last year, better than Troy Franklin, weren't that bad. And he could just be their slot and just get, in a full PPR environment, like 3-4 usable weeks hypothetically this year. So there's at least an out there for him.
I like that call. Yeah, I think Dak's the move here.
Yeah,
right?
let's Dak.
Yeah. And then now also we're in a really good spot here to potentially take like another quarterback if we wanted to do Herbert like after, maybe not this round, maybe the round after, something like that. We could do Stafford late. Or Caleb if he somehow fell even further. So like a couple of different outs here at quarterback. We don't have a tight end yet. I actually really like a lot of these random late tight ends, which sometimes ends up being a bad thing because they just like never play or never do anything. But the tight end room is really interesting. Like I've been drafting. I talked with our projections guy a decent amount, John Paulson at 4 for 4. And I told him, I'm like, hey man, like, I don't know if you can really move him up your projections, but like Tyler Warren has some pretty wild ceiling outcomes this year if they use him like they did it all at Penn State, and and he plays like a traditional tight end role. And then like Tucker Kraft, Colston Loveland, Dallas Goedert, Ferguson, given our build, makes a ton of sense. Like there's a lot of really good mid to like late tight ends, I think.
Yeah. I've gotten a lot of Tucker Kraft. I've gotten a lot of Dallas Goedert. Just always seems, I actually got him in Pros versus Joes also like fairly late. But like Goddard to me, not only has contingent upside, but like his projection places him above where he's being drafted as well. And so I like, going in that direction. And like you said, like my builds are usually, am I getting an elite tight end? Okay. No, I'm not getting an elite tight end, or yes, I am. But if I'm not, I'm generally going to look at this range for my first, after some of these guys go. Kelsey to me, even with the Rashee Rice news, has just been overdrafted on DraftKings all offseason. And like I said, Laporta had a good price here, but I have a hard time at like 5-6 getting Laporta. And so like that kind of cluster, that group I've avoided more, but then I'll just take like the falling value of this next tier. Cause there's always like one guy. I feel the same way with quarterback. Like there's always a falling value that I try to just grab and then kind of build a late stack with that.
Yeah. I think that's the move here. Damn. All right. Herbert just went, let's see here. All right. I just made a case for Tyler Warren. I think Charbonnet is really interesting contingent upside. The running back room, I like a lot of the running backs in like the 130 to 150, 160-ish range. I don't love a lot of the guys here, transparently. like Javonte Williams and
yeah, we don't have to push it. I don't think yet.
yeah.
My only thought, what's our how many wideouts do we have right now?
Only 5, so we could go another wideout here.
What's the wideout? I mean, we could reach for Mims if we think he's not going to be back to pair with
Yeah, we're right at 126 on where he'd be.
It's up to you. If you want to go tight end,
I would personally go Warren here, but
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's Tyler Warren, I think, is an interesting guy. I think the floor is kind of low, obviously, with the Colts offense. He has competed targets with Josh Downs, with Michael Pittman. But, when a guy plays 40-plus snaps at quarterback, running back, out wide, in line, in the slot, they've already talked about getting him scheme touches. Like the early, stuff was that he was just like catching the ball a ton. I don't know. I think that he's like a pretty interesting guy to potentially have some ceiling outcomes there as a rookie. And we're getting him, again, like pretty, I mean, not pretty late, but just a reasonable price, I think, here.
After ADP. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think it's worth noting here, we talked about this pre-show. The 12 spot here has 4 tight ends, including an elite tight end at George Kittle. So that's quite not an advisable strategy on my end.
Quite the build. But again, we shouldn't tilt. We gotta recognize that's just a dead team in this league. More than likely.
Yes, they're a dead team. I mean, I don't know. I guess I haven't looked into the data of four tight ends before 10 rounds start. But all right. I mean, we're at 2-2-5-1. Again, a little bit wide receiver heavy, which is fine. We can see if I would love for Mims to come back if possible to add to Bo Nix there. Let's see here. I think. Yeah, see, running back wise, still it's kind of in that weird range of like Judkins. We have no idea. Stevenson, the fumbling stuff scares me a little bit. But I
drafted Stevenson for the first time like yesterday. So yeah,
you take a shower after or what?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Stevenson, like I just have a hard time with that archetype. Like even Najee, I wasn't drafting at all before the news happened. It was just really difficult for me to envision like that being the league winning player. I have a hard time even with Brian Robinson, which could come back to bite me just because the touchdown upside's there. But we know that his target share is capped at like 5%. And so that's just not the kind of player that yes, there's a run out where the dude can smash in a good offense. But, I'm not going to bet on that just because it's a low probability outcome.
Yeah, no, totally agree there. I think the downside is just massive. Najee stuff, like we talked about, we have no idea. Also, we already have Hampton, so that wouldn't really make sense.
The next tier, the next tier is where I am grabbing running back. Yeah.
Yes. I think Tuden, Blue, I mean, whatever, I think he's fine. Like the whole lazy thing was, I mean, probably somewhat notable, but I don't think it's for sure. It's Sampson, Eckler, like I think all these, Garendo even, I think they're all pretty good options here. So do you want to go Mims if he's on the board? And if not, what are you thinking? I
think so. Let's go Mims, especially because Tucker Kraft just went.
Yep.
That would have probably been fun.
All right. So we're at 2-2-6-1. Again, little light on running back. Would love to grab some here. I think that this is a great range, like you mentioned. Any favorites in this group, or are you just like mixed exposure at this point?
I'm mixing them. Like I have a ton of Rachaad White because he was even cheaper earlier in the offseason. And then like that's more of just like contingent upside with maybe some usability, right? But like to me, there's not that much difference between like Rachaad White and Ramondre Stevenson from the standpoint of like what they provide in, like a best ball environment. I'd argue that there's more upside with Rachaad White, pretty strongly. But like I'm mixing these guys for the most part. I'm trying to get more Dylan Sampson for obvious reasons. I was drafting a lot of Jerome Ford before the Quinshon Judkins stuff. I wasn't drafting much Judkins or Sampson, which was a mistake, obviously, from a Sampson perspective. But the logic from my perspective was that I don't think Sampson is their negative game script back, right? Like, I think it's probably still going to be Jerome Ford. And so when Quinshon Judkins was hypothetically going to be their starter, and we have no idea at this point, but when he was hypothetically going to be their starter, my thought process was, okay, Jerome Ford is probably the just very cheap dart throw option because Cleveland's going to be bad. And if they're bad, there's negative game scripts. That's going to be a Jerome Ford type role. But now the Judkins stuff really opens things up for Dylan Sampson to show off more early down work. And that's where I think Sampson thrives more. Like, from a prospecting I know that they had quotes that he was like lining up in the slot and all that kind of stuff.
Like,
Sampson's prospect profile did not dictate that he was like a stellar receiving back, like someone that would like be lining up all over the field and stuff. And so my thought process was like he was just kind of a net neutral as a pass catcher. And how many teams are going to use a day 3 pick like that in that sort of hurry up role? But now with the Judkins stuff, everything's off the table. Like now it's just Dylan Sampson, and I'm just trying to get as much as I can of him, even though the offense environment sucks.
Yeah, but like I mean, he's just like mispriced right now, like relative to like what his role is going to likely be. I think I thought he had a pretty murky path to playing time originally, so it makes sense to not have too much exposure to him. I had barely any myself, and then Ford, like I don't know, just felt like something had to give, like either Judkins or Ford. Like Ford had to get cut or traded or something like that, like for Sampson to kind of see a role. But now I think the path is clear a little bit here. We are in a pretty good spot to grab. I mean, any of the running backs or
I just want Ramondre to fall in this draft so that we have a decision to make if we want to draft Ramondre past ADP.
Ramondre 12 spots past ADP or Rachaad White, Tuden, Blue, Davis.
I'm still going upside with like we don't have any Patriots, right? Or Jets.
Don't think so. No.
And then we don't have any Dolphins or Bucks either.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
all right. We're on the clock. We go
straight up. Yeah, let's just do it for the bit. Let's just
do it for the bit. All right, I love it. All right, going with Ramondre. All right, I'll see you guys later. Log off.
Take a shower.
Take a shower. It's funny. Pete T has been commenting in the chat, and I think he's asked us to take different guys, and we've never taken them. Sorry, Pete. We're not trying to offend you. I think he shouted out Kittle earlier. I love George Kittle. I picked him in Pros vs. Joes last week or yesterday in the second round. But yeah, Bucky gets hurt, and it's PPR cheat code again with Rachaad White. I know you mentioned a lot of different upside outcomes for Rachaad White. I think that's like makes a ton of sense to have mixed exposure there. But then, yeah, Ramondre goes back into those he was drafted by. Like he's had some good games. I just like he fumbled so much last year. Like it seemed like he lost a lot of trust with the old coaching staff. Now, how much does that matter now, right?
I also just think that like we overcomplicate running backs sometimes, where it's like still to this day, every draft guide I do, because all my analysis is always based on like ADP expectation and stuff and costs and how the market reacts. We're always undervaluing receiving and we're overvaluing. We could have gotten Sampson in that last pick too.
I like this turn. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a fun turn. And we're always undervaluing receiving. And Ramondre Stevenson was horrible on a per route run basis last year, which does get signal for next season target share. And then they draft Travion Henderson. Like what kind of target share do people expect from Ramondre Stevenson without a Henderson injury? Like that's the fear for me. And even with a Henderson injury, I don't know what it would even look like. Whereas at least with like Rachaad White, we might still be able to get Rachaad White, which would be sweet.
Yeah, Rachaad White. The only other name I'd throw in that here would be Jake Ferguson because we already have like the Cowboys stack here as well. But I think Rashaad's probably the move here because we're a little light on running back here. 3 running backs. So I think White's the move. What do you think?
Let's do it. Jake Ferguson is the definition of Jag. So
he's just very much fine.
Yeah,
I do think the Cowboys throw this year. Like,
they're going to throw so much. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've been scooping up as much. Like, would have loved Pickens, Lamb, Ferguson. Like, I don't know how they're going to run the ball with Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and Jaden Blue. Like, maybe I'm not seeing everything through the trees there, but I just can't see it. And their defense is good, like opportunistically, but I don't know if they're good on a down basis. So I think they're going to fall behind and have to throw a bunch. So
yeah. I mean, none of that, but Schottenheimer as OC the last couple of years, he's been. I mean, his neutral script stuff has just been super super pass heavy. So and that's even without Dak Prescott for half of last year. Like they're going to be a pass heavy team. It feels like, and like this is such a vibes based take, but it feels like when we look back on this season, we're going to be like, why was Javonte Williams being drafted at like running back 40?
Yeah. Based on what, right?
Right. Like I think though that like, could he just be a default guy back there that is goblet? Cause of the guys that are there, I trust, like they're going to trust him probably most in pass pro. Right. So like, he'll be on the field as the pass catching back. I think Jaden Blue is more of that, like mix him in, get him in space. Cause that's the kind of player he is. And look, my model loved Jaden Blue, even though he was undersized. And so like, I'm looking back. Yeah. I'm looking back though. Like it's January and I'm like, I don't think Javonte Williams is going to like smash by any means, But I do think that there's probably a chance that the market is, not giving him any. It's sort of like the way I view how the market's viewing Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yep.
Like giving no hope for upside at all, right? Like nothing. And that's just, again, very vibes based, but it's also like injury based, coming back. Like not all guys are able to just recover immediately and be good to go. With that being said, I've been very underweight on Javonte Williams.
Yeah, well, so I think that's like part of we would mention at the top, like we are day one in a training camp. If it's like, hey, Javonte Williams getting all the reps with the ones, like tomorrow, like he's going to shoot up like 2 rounds probably. You know what I mean?
I think that's like a decently likely outcome.
Yeah, that's very possible. So then like everyone's scooping has, got a great discounts here. All right, looks like Jaden Blue is still on the board if we wanted to go that direction.
Yeah.
We're still 1 pick away. Quarterback stacks at this point, we're looking at I guess so. All right. I mean, yeah, we can look down the board after this. If we want to go blue here. I think that probably makes sense.
Yeah, let's get blue. In these environments where I get like Dak and Knicks, like my favorite thing to do is getting Jackson Dart at the end of the draft with Darius Slayton or something like that.
I brought this up to Davis Maddock and he looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, I love, or maybe it wasn't Davis, maybe it was Chris, one of the other recent guests. And I was like, I've been doing a lot of late Jackson Dart stacks with like Theo and Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's going to play at least half the season. Like, it's like,
and it's not going to be like the thing with rookie quarterbacks is we know that they're going to be playing at the end of the season instead of the beginning of the season. And the reason, like the logic behind 3 quarterback builds being the meta now is that you're looking at having an extra out in the playoff weeks. It's not so much what you're doing, in the regular season when you're only competing against 11 other teams. It's when you get to the playoffs, having that upside of an additional stack. And so to me, getting Jackson Dart is like the optimal way of doing that when you have a guy like Knicks and Prescott. And I also think like Darius Slayton's a really boring pick, but he's probably like, I think we'd all like, he's probably going to outpace at least his cost. Like he's someone who's probably going to see like 70 targets or something like that and be totally fine at where he's being drafted.
He's going to have a couple games that he pops in your lineup probably. And that's all you can ask for. I mean, that's just, I mean, 2-3 games from like an 18th round pick at this point. Like I think that's actually pretty reasonable. Just real quick, looking at the look ahead lines, why I'm not very bullish on this Giants or Russ surviving. I mean, look, 7-point dogs at Washington, 4.5-point dogs at Dallas, 6.5-point dogs at Kansas City, 3.5-point dogs against the Chargers. Then you have one little reprieve here against the Saints. I think this would be a great spot to drop in Jackson Dart. Maybe not, but even then, like Philly, Denver, Philly, San Fran, like there is no way Russ survives this. There's no way.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the other thing too that I like to do, like whenever you have these 2 like pretty solid quarterbacks and Knicks and Prescott, like 2 of those guys, you can also play the falling value game at quarterback and be the one who does get like Aaron Rodgers when he goes past ADP or Sam Darnold when he goes past ADP. So you have more outs than just Dart. I'm just saying like the worst case scenario is Dart in that environment, and that's totally fine.
Totally. All right, we're kind of in a unique spot here. Could go running back. I think Jalen Wright, Roshan is fine. We don't have anything on Seattle. I don't know if that stack makes any sense. What would you do if you're on the clock here?
I'd consider Ertz as a bring back with Dak. I haven't been drafting a ton of Ertz, but we don't have much at tight end.
No, we just have Tyler Warren, so we need a little more there.
Yeah, I'd probably, I don't know, I'd go Ertz and just get him past ADP and hope that he has some of the magic he had last year. I'm not really drafting a ton of Ertz, but I do think it fits the build.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, we need a little bit more stability at tight end. And there's a couple of guys late that I think are really interesting. I think Juwan Johnson is probably going to play a ton. He's gotten some great quotes. In the offseason, Elijah Arroyo, obviously, Noah Fant just released, Theo Johnson, Jatavian Sanders, Tyler Ferguson, all kind of like interesting darts later in the draft.
Yep. Yeah, I think like even like this could be like a Higbee team or something, given that we got Adams or something like that, like going with a Rams, one of the Rams tight ends.
Yeah, no, I know Terrence Ferguson is interesting. It's like I want him to be a thing. They drafted him high, but like Higbee's still there. He was used a ton in the playoffs. Like I just don't know if it's completely over for him yet, which is a massive problem for Ferguson.
Totally agree. Ferguson was for me by far the tight end 3 in this class. Like he looked really good within my stuff. And so I was really high on him in rookie drafts and stuff. But I agree. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a 2025 thing. I've gotten a lot of Higbee, and I also I think pairing like a Higbee and Ertz type with Tyler Warren, where you're hoping for like more of a late season surge, probably with Warren as he gets used to the game and stuff. And injuries pile up. That could be his out for that ceiling that we're talking about. So I don't mind pairing with the boring tight ends.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad idea either. If Pat Bryant falls to us, I would love him here with Bo Nix, and we already obviously have Mims as well, so I think that's kind of like a fun little stack there. If not, I've been mixing in again some Roschon, some Braylon Allen. I think both of those guys have some contingent upside, or just like Braylon Allen might just straight up score like 7 touchdowns randomly this year. Wouldn't be surprised there.
Yeah.
And Pat Bryant goes, of course. So
we're getting Vele, final round Vele.
Okay. Yep. Should I add him to the queue now, or what do we want to wait till? We'll wait till the end.
We'll wait just in case something happens. I always get worried.
I know, same. It's tough doing these streams. I always wonder if someone's in there as soon as I bring a guy up. All right.
Let's do Roschon since we have Rome.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just keep going back to, if you go to Hard Knocks from like the Lions Hard Knocks or whatever, when just DeAndre Swift is on the team with Ben Johnson, like just the way that the coaching staff was like talking to him in those meetings was like strange. Like they're like, you're not going to contact. You can be the best running back in the league, but like you don't do this, 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 and this. And he just like put his head down and like didn't really say anything. And I'm like, this is very strange. And then that was the season where Jamal Williams has like 250 carries and he has like 120. He was kind of banged up. Like I think that DeAndre Swift is probably going to be the lead back, like right as of now. But like, would it surprise me to see more Roschon or Kyle Monunga or they trade for someone? I mean, Alvin Kamara, I'm sure you heard Silva's take. He threw out the first pitch at Wrigley, like a couple weeks ago.
I haven't heard this take. I haven't.
No, okay. So it's hilarious. Yeah. So Alvin Kamara, like a week ago, threw out the first pitch at Wrigley for the Cubs. And, Silva was like, went on an ETR show and was like, are they going to trade for Alvin Kamara tomorrow? Like, what's going on? Like
Silva Chicago thing, the Cubs game thing I've ever heard in my freaking life.
Dude, no one loves the Cubs more than Evan. Evan is like, he should start a baseball podcast, honestly.
He really
should. Maybe baseball and politics. That's his future, right? I think that's not sure anyone should listen to that, but it'd be incredible. It'd be good content, I think.
It'd be very good content.
Anyways, all right. So we're at let's see here. 2 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 6 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Relatively even build, honestly, compared to when we started. I think we did a good job kind of filling in our running back room. Quarterbacks, obviously Knicks and Dak, I feel pretty good about here. And then tight end room, I'm probably a little weak right now with Zach Ertz and Tyler Warren. But again, like a lot of good contingency plans here, I think.
Yeah, it's nice to just have it built out at this point. And you're not like sweating things, too bad. Is Jackson Dart's? Yeah, he's still there.
He is still there. Jackson Dart's still there. Let's see here. Slayton is still there.
Do you want to go for the Slayton Dart combo here in the next 2 rounds?
I think so. Yeah, let's try that. Something else that I've been doing, which I used to be doing more, and I kind of have done less of, was like Juwan Johnson, Tyler Shug combo. Rich Rebar kind of talked me off that a little bit. He's like, I think that Shug may not play most of the year, like if he sucks. And I'm like, okay, well, I kind of just envision them just giving him most of the year, but they seem to like Spencer Rattler a little bit, it seems like. So
I also am just going to lean the better prospect at that point. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I'm just going to feel better about Dart getting work, especially when that coaching staff needs him to hit. Like if he hits, that gives the coaching staff in that regime another year, basically. If they see something with him like the final 5-6 games of the year.
Totally. All right. The question is,
which one first?
Yeah.
Is Theo Johnson still there? Theo Johnson still available?
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just get Dart, and then we have 2 outs for pass catcher.
Okay. All right. I think that's probably the right move. I was trying to do quick math on like who needed a quarterback still here. I mean, Cam Wins could take 2 quarterbacks at the turn here again. that would not be surprising at all. He is 2.554. If he ended up with 5.555, would that be that surprising? Just a straight 5.
He's just gonna take the Cleveland quarterback room to finish this draft.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That would be so good. I mean, these rooms are always interesting. Do you have any thoughts on Jarquez Hunter or like how this Rams running back room shakes out? I know we touched on Kyron earlier, but like, have you been mixing them in at all?
Yeah, so I was like a big Jarquez Hunter guy pre-draft. I thought he was one of the best day 3 sleepers in the draft class, and so naturally, like I'm gonna like him post-draft. But the weird thing is that I think like I've gone from Kyron's in a void to drafting Kyron to like kind of all over the place with it, just for reasons
Yep.
that you talked about with like the contract and like, I don't think Kyron is gonna like really burn you, but I do think in like a certain season long formats, I'm not going to be as in on Kyron just because his workload is so fragile, right? Like the Rams don't target their running backs out of the backfield. They haven't since Todd Gurley was there. They've ranked literally like 30th to 32nd in running back target share every single year over the last 6 years. And so, and you add Devontae Adams, it's just the way
Right.
the offense operates. Like they're not going to target their running backs at that high of a rate, which means Kyron has to sustain that like 80-85% running back rush share or whatever he had to be able to sustain what he's been doing. And even if that drops by like 10 percentage points, like that is a big deal for like his overall value. So I do think Jarquez Hunter could dig into that to a degree. I also thought that Blake Corum would dig into it last year more than he did, which was obviously not true. It didn't happen. So, end of the day, I think Hunter is the most explosive player on that team in that backfield. Kyron obviously had a dip and drop off last year, but the thing is like where Kyron goes in like a season long draft versus in best ball is just different. Like he doesn't have like still has a pretty appetizing ADP here. Whereas in your home league, he's probably going to be a pretty solid like second round pick or something like that, where it's a little bit scarier to go after him. So I'm mixing them in. I actually have even mixed in Blake Corum just because people are making the assumption about Hunter. And even though I love Hunter, I still want to play probability a little bit.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. Also, it's the Rams. Like the Rams are just one of the most unpredictable. I mean, there was Cam Akers was supposed to be the week 1 starter, and he like just never played the entire year, like 2 years ago, and then it ended up being it would have been the Kyron Williams show, and he got injured on the kickoff, like on special teams. So, all right, I think we go Theo here. What do we think?
Let's go Theo.
All right, nice. Stack, we got the stack. Our Cam Wins heard me talking shit, and so he picked Darius Slayton. I think that was I guess that's warranted if he's listening to the show. So that's tough there. But overall, I think our quarterback room and tight end room are pretty much closed out at this point. Quarterbacks, Dart, Prescott, Nix, and then tight ends, Theo, Ertz, Warren. I mean, if Warren's good, I don't feel bad about it. If he's not good, then we're probably in tough shape. But I don't mind the stack there.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Cool. And so now we're at 3-6-6-3. The standard build is 3-6-8-3. Now we do have a little bit stronger, much stronger wide receiver room than running back room, but I think we can kind of I think 3-7-7-3 could make sense in this build. Again, 3-6-8-3 is probably, it's like the normal one that I go to with.
Yeah, same.
Also, someone mentioned in here, Troy Franklin, the forgotten son. We have to pick Devon Bailey. That's just like
we're getting Bailey. Yes.
All right.
Yes, we're getting Bailey next round.
Make sure that
Bailey.
Okay.
It is. Look, Bailey is not going to be a league winner, but I do think in a full PPR environment, he's going to give us some usable weeks. Because I think there's a very legit shot, at least the front half of the season. Like we're going to see him be their slot guy, like he played last year for a good portion of the season.
Right. Like I also too, I was looking at their snap rates. The Broncos they just like rotate everyone.
They do.
Yeah. It's
like Green Bay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a headache. But it is what it is. All right. So we want to go Vele here, right? If we as long as no one picks him right before us. And then I guess we can probably I kind of like the last pick. I like to scroll. Vele is kind of a scroll pick, but I like to scroll and get guys who are not drafted at all right now. And we're just gaining an edge if, again, they end up popping in the final few weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's see here. 7 seconds. Terrence Ferguson just went. Corum still is on the board. We talked about him a little bit. Ray McLeod's going to play a bunch. His splits with Penix were awful, but he's going to be on the field. So I think that's he's kind of been a boring pick, but we should go Vele here just to lock that in, I think, right?
Let's do it. Because someone could be thinking, I need Devon Vele.
It's a very normal thought, very normal thought in the 19th round.
It's just hilarious. I railed against him last year as a prospect. So I'm like, this dude's 26 years old. This is insane. Yeah. He went on a mission trip after high school.
Is he that old?
And that's why, and that's why he came out so late, because he started college late. And so, like, I mean, of all coaches, of course, it's Sean Payton who was able to get something out of like a 26, 27-year-old rookie. But like his peripherals weren't like that horrendous for a rookie wide receiver.
I mean, I thought he played pretty well when he was out there too. Like there were some games that I think that, I mean, he saw a bunch of targets in certain games and then he just like randomly wouldn't see any. I think it was more like game to game scheming wise. I just wonder if there's any like consolidation, like in the, like when you have Vele, Pat Bryant, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin. I think Mims and Franklin have more overlap, and like Bryant and Vele and, you know, Sutton to some extent, I guess, have a little more overlap too. But I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just kind of like a toss up. And like, if you told me Vele catches like 5-6 balls every couple of weeks, I wouldn't be that surprised. To be honest.
And I think that's in his range of outcomes here.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting one. So we got the Denver stack here with, you know, Knicks, Mims, Vele, and then obviously we have a, you know, Cowboys stack here too with Lamb, Prescott. I kind of forgot that we had a Jaden Blue too, which is kind of fun as well, into that little, you know, stack there. So now I think we can kind of just play whatever, you know, either running back or wide receiver here. Jalen Royals, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
Royals was the one. Royals was who I was looking at because of the bring back and the stack that we kind of created.
Yeah, I think that could make a ton of sense. Some random scroll down guys. Gadsden, the Chargers have been getting a ton of hype lately. You know, he's been. They did also bring in Tyler Conklin, I believe, as well. But Gadsden's been kind of the main guy there. Like Juju, if Rashee Rice misses like 6 games, has been played that role occasionally, like from time to time. Chisholm got like a ton of preseason hype, or like whatever mini camp hype. You know, I've clicked him a couple of times when I have Patriot stuff. Probably not for this. Do you think Amari or Keenan sign at all anywhere?
I think Keenan will. I'm scared of Amari. Like the Amari stuff, like people keep saying the Keenan stuff reminds them of like Will Fuller and like how that went. Like the Amari stuff is way more Will Fuller like to me, where it's just like just kind of goes in the abyss. We haven't heard from them in so long, and then they just don't play football anymore.
Oh man. All right, let's go Royals here.
Yeah, let's do it. That's a good stacking partner.
Awesome. All right. So I mean, overall, I like this team as you know, fairly normal build. I think, you know, we made up a running back, tight end was solid, quarterback solid. We stacked players. You know, I don't think you can ask for too much more here. I don't know. What do you think?
This is a very, very JJ team. This is the kind of team, like it's the kind of build I usually go with. A lot of the guys that I've been drafting. I feel good about it. I think that, like, again, this is a really good example of like getting ahead of the quarterback game on here, and then just kind of getting falling values at the other positions, because you don't feel like you're forced to get quarterback. You feel good about the build overall at you know, when it's all said and done.
Yep. No, I totally agree. I think solid overall build. You said it's a JJ team. This looks very much like a lot of my teams as well. Yeah. So hopefully we're both in the finals with a couple of teams.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Jamie, a JJ team is a winning team. But yeah, I mean, this is great. I mean, I appreciate you coming on. It's easy, just ripping a nice, you know, DraftKings draft. Tell people what you got going on at late round and going forward.
Yeah, check everything out over on lateround.com. Got the podcast, you know, got the draft guide that's for sale right now. If you're into like game theory stuff, like a solid 80% of that guide is game theory based and not just player take based. You know, some of the stuff I talked about on the show today is in there. So check it all out over on lateround.com.
Awesome. And as a reminder to everyone, don't miss out on DraftKings Draft One, Get One offer. Enter a lineup in the $15 million basketball contest for $20, and you'll get another basketball ticket to play for free for a share of $15 million. So thanks for everyone tuning in, hanging out. I will be back next week with another awesome guest. For JJ, I'm Connor. See you all next week.